Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, coming again today, you're very, very welcome. I trust you enjoyed my last video on Jamaican reggae legend Jimmy Cliff. And we looked at the song Beautiful People, Wonderful World. So I trust you found that one encouraging. We're going from there to 1963 in Manchester. Now, England was a hot spot for music. We had the Beatles doing their thing. Well, these guys actually also were pretty successful. Keith Hopgood, Carl Green, Alan Wrigley, Steve Tittigan and Peter Noone on lead vocals. Peter was already in a band called the Heartbeats. In fact, many of these guys were, but Peter was already quite popular on TV with the show Coronation Street as a 15-year-old, so he was already really, really well known. A little while after, Jan Whitman and Derek Leckenby would come in to replace a couple of those original members. Enter producing Mickey Most and Columbia Records. Harvey Lisberg decided to become their manager, and he said, you know what, if you can keep your simple, non-threatening, clean-cut image, I reckon you'll do pretty well, and let's call ourselves Hermits. Now, Hermits, think about shows like Rocky and Bullwinkle, the thing of having those two names in the name. Well, Hermits would actually stick for these guys. In 1964, out would come the song I'm Into Something Good. This got to number 1 in the UK and number 13 in the US, and this actually ousted the Kinks' You Really Got Me. This is how significant this song was, and already Hermits were making it big in the US. The US was starting to really take notice of what was coming out of the UK. The Beatles started to tour there and all sorts of things. In fact, in 1965, they were at America's most successful top singles act, ousting the Beatles, who they ousted to number 2. So that's pretty amazing. But and that's because of that song, I'm Into Something Good. This is one of those songs that, yes, you kind of know and you kind of remember. You think, well, I wonder who did these guys. Now we know who did the song. It was Hermits. I'm Into Something Good. It's all about how infatuated this guy is with the girl, but it goes more than that. You know what? This is actually good. This is actually good. It's amazing. And she thinks the same thing about me, which is pretty cool. And so, very much in relationships, I think, it takes a while to trust them, doesn't it? We don't think we're as good as it could be. Maybe it's not going to last. Maybe it's going to fall off the rails based on previous history. Relationships don't tend to have a track record. But when something good actually happens, you think, wow. You stop for a minute and you just pause and you think, I'm into something good. It's what we all want, don't we? We want that something good. We hang on to hope. Hope's one of these 4-letter words that has a lot of power. It's that human beings absolutely need it. But when hope is fulfilled, when hope comes to pass, when dreams come true and you're holding the hand of the guy or the girl of your dreams, I'm into something good. Do you actually ever get to the point of being able to breathe deeply? Look, search through our brain for any chaos at all with this relationship when we find none. None. And all you think is, wow, there's just no chaos here. That's what we all want, don't we? As I'm thinking about my girl right now, I think about these thoughts all the time, and that is, I'm absolutely into something good. And it takes a long time, I think, for your brain to relax and to calm down and to settle into that zone, and that is, this is good. If you're not quite there yet with your partner, it could be that you're still trying to get your head around what's actually happened and can you actually believe and let yourself trust and believe that this thing is good. Well, sometimes we can let our mind go there. And the peace and happiness and contentment that comes along with that is absolutely amazing. But we've got to let ourselves go to get there. And there's risks in that, isn't there? We don't want to risk our heart. We might have been beat up before and we don't want to be beat up again. But if the real deal is the real deal, it's the real deal. So the best thing we can do, and I've actually said this a few times in the past, love is patient and kind. Let's just get that in there at the start. Everything that we say, everything that we think, everything that we do, patient and kind. And the relationship, I think there's something good here is referring to the relationship, which is kind of holding two people together and as one. The relationship will take over and look after you two individuals if you let it, because that's where love resides. So how amazing to actually sing I'm into something good. It's an absolutely beautiful song by Hermits. And it's a wonderful thing to be able to reflect on. If you actually are in this zone right now, just know how fortunate and lucky and blessed you are to have that in your life. And do everything that you can to keep it. So I trust you found that one encouraging today. Hermits were renowned for having a bit of fun, a bit of Cockney accent. As I said, they were America's top singles act in 1965, ousting the Beatles, believe it or not. And we've got Mrs. Brown, you've got a lovely daughter. We've got a studio clip of this one below. A very, very cute song indeed. And then we've got a live version of Henry VIII and Mrs. Brown below. Bit of Cockney fun right there. In 1964 to 68, there were a string of top 40 hits in the US, and 11 of them got into the top 10. A couple of the songs, Can't You Hear My Heartbeat? This got to number 2. Got a studio version of that one below. And Listen People, official clip, got to number 3. Hermits started to do some of the big shows in the US, the Ed Sullivan Show, the Dean Martin Show, the Jackie Gleason Show. And they also got to be involved in a few movies, one of them being When the Boys Meet Girls. But the hits would continue. No milk today, my love has gone away. What a beautiful, well, it's not a beautiful song, but what an interesting take on a relationship breakup here. No milk today. It's got a studio version of that one below. And then we've also got There's a Kind of Hush. All over the world tonight, people are falling in love. We've got a studio version of that one and going all the way forward to a little bit later. We've got a live version of There Is a Kind of Hush. There's some pretty intricate chord progressions happening in this song. It's absolutely quite a beautifully written musical piece, this one. And Hermits were just the band to pull that one off. So I've got a studio and live version of that one below. So between 1965 and 1968, that's when the albums were released. There were 8 releases and they estimated to have sold 75 million albums. So that's pretty amazing right there to have such a big album count for only 8 releases. That means that like each one was selling 10 million each. So very popular band in that 1960s period. So the links to those 8 clips in the description below, and I also included my last video from Jimmy Cliff. If you want to cap on him, feel free. Well, if this is your first time to live reflections through music, or you've come back for another one, how great to see everybody here. Well, next time we're going to get on to Kate Miller High Key. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.